This is Bronze and Modern Gods. I'm John.
And I'm Richard.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at bronzeandmoderngods.com. If you like this video, like it. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. If you don't, please. Today, we've got our hot book of the week, our underrated books of the week, the 25-year rule as we head back to 1996 in the holiday season. And, of course, our main topic this week is LA Comic-Con. How was it? And plus, we have an exclusive interview with Marvel editor-in-chief from the 80s and early 90s, Tom DeFalco, and superstar artist Ron Frenz. That's all coming up. But first, our hot book of the week. Richard, what is it?
Our hot book this week is Amazing Spider-Man number 365, the first appearance of Spider-Man 2099.
Now, why is this a big deal this week, Richard? I've had my head in the clouds.
Silly man. There was a big announcement from Sony. They had a, let's call it an early trailer for the Spider-Verse 2 movie, which included not only Miles and Spider-Gwen, but also Spider-Man 2099.
Wow. How much Morales?
Miles of Morales.
Thank you. And also, Amazing Spider-Man 365 was one of, was it 4 or 5 hologram covers they did for his anniversary. And man, those things are prone to scratches. You may think you've got a 9.8, then you see a little scratch on that hologram. Also, these books were so thick because they were big, giant anniversary issues with cardstock covers that bindery tears are super common on these things. And to top this off, this one has a black cover.
That's the trifecta.
GPA on this is around, for a 9.8, is $390. That's up from a 90-day average of $335. And that's kind of what's happening on eBay right now as well, right in that $360 to $390 range.
This is one of those books that was, dollar bin finds. You could find this book day and night. And now, because of this, and he was teased at the end of the previous Spider-Verse movie. So this is confirmation he's coming. And, we've just seen tremendous upticks in the values of his appearances.
What other Spider-Verse keys should people be looking out for? I know you've got one later on, so I won't ruin that surprise. But there was a bunch, right?
There are a bunch. Me personally, would look for Spider-Man number 12. It's the first kiss for Miles and Gwen. I have a feeling, I wasn't really sure. I thought they may try to do the Starling angle with Miles as a love interest, but they seem to be in the movie going for Spider-Gwen, kind of continuing the romance from the first movie. So if that's the case, we may see a first kiss, and if so, that book is going to be hot.
She has a type. If you swing on a web, when's your gal? All right, so be on the lookout for that as well. Plus, as I was teasing, Richard's got another Spider-Verse key coming up in his underrated books of the week. But it's time for our main topic, and that is the second weekend in a row, Richard, you're back home, but I got to go to yet another comic book convention.
Oh, jelly. Between this one and Emerald City, I was really jealous this weekend.
Yeah, despite Emerald City Comic Con happening the same weekend, LA Comic Con was packed. I went there Friday night. I saw a lot of the same dealers as San Diego Comic Con Special Edition, I have to admit. There's our friend Lawrence, P. Dots Comics, saying hi. One thing that really struck us when we were there were just the sheer volume of dealers selling those friggin' Funko Pops. Those are still a thing?
I guess they are. I have never been able to really understand. They're cute little figures, but the rarities of them, it just always seems to be hard for me to comprehend.
I'm sure people say the same thing about us in comic books, but I just look at those and I see Beanie Babies, and you know what happened there.
Yeah.
I will say LA Comic Con had a really good crowd for a Friday night. They opened it up at 4 p.m. We waltzed in really quickly. The COVID checks were a lot more streamlined than San Diego. You didn't have to go through one line. There were multiple entrances where they were checking vaccination. And then we got in and it was okay for the first hour. And then about 5 o'clock, people were getting off work and getting there, and it got packed. Artist Alley was a little more robust, some more names there. Got to meet Jim Starlin and say hi, got to meet David Mack, a whole bunch of people. But for me personally, the best part was getting to chat with legendary Marvel Comics writer and former editor-in-chief Tom DeFalco and superstar artist Ron Frenz. Now, you know these two from their epic runs on Amazing Spider-Man, Thor, Spider-Girl. So let's find out what they're up to these days. You may be surprised. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Here we are with Ron Frenz and Tom DeFalco. What is up? Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
I know I've asked you to tell the story twice today. You got to tell the story how we met in 1988. Because
in 1988, this gentleman worked in a comic book store that was inside a deli.
A meat market.
It was a meat market deli and it was called Baker's Books and Fine Meats. And they set me up at a nice little table right by the meat display case, and they got 7 offers for me as meat.
See?
But it was a wonderful time. It was a wonderful time when you could have a comic book store inside a meat market and nobody judged you.
And you made money.
And it stuck in my head because who does that?
Most interviews are about the past and then you go into what you're doing now. I want to flip it. Tell everybody what you're working on right now.
Good, Tom.
We're working on a comic book called The Right Project. And it's about a digital daredevil. Right stands for
Reality Integrated Gravitic Hologram Technology.
Yes.
Got it.
And the Mister can even stand for multi-platform real time. So there you go. But anyway, yes, it stars a young gamer who gets a hold of a program that can make solid holograms by giving them a gravity center and by giving them mass. So Mr. Wright is a hologram with mass. So he is everything that a 12 or 13-year-old gamer would want in a hero. We were looking for a way to bring square-jawed, do the right thing because it's the right thing hero into the modern world, and we figured the belief system of a 12 or 13-year-old gamer would be the way to do that.
Excellent. So you got to make sure Zuckerberg does not get a hold of this, because if the metaverse goes into,
does he have money?
Hey, maybe we do want him to get a hold of it.
Okay.
Before I die, I'd like some money.
I had money once.
Yeah.
Not all it's cracked up to be.
I need to find out.
This started as a Kickstarter, right?
Indiegogo campaign. That's correct. Yes.
But now I've seen it in comic shops.
No.
Well, I saw it in the House of Secrets in Burbank. Maybe they ordered something and they just have it on the
I don't know
shelves.
how they would have gotten that.
There's another book you're working on that's
the Blue
Binge,
Baron
the
and
Binge
the
part.
Unbeatable Blue Baron and the Heroes Union that are published through Binge Books Sitcomics. Yes.
Got it. So, where can people get The Right Project if they're not here?
Well, if they weren't part of the Indiegogo campaign, that is yet to be determined.
We don't know.
So, is there still time for them to be a part of that?
There may still be time for the Indiegogo. I believe the Indiegogo campaign is still up because we were doing very well, and if you do pretty well, they let you coast a little ways.
And
so
we will
I
have the
believe it's
URL
still
right here on the screen. See it? Right here?
Yeah. Right, okay. Right there.
Exactly. Thank you.
But I mean that's the best way. And we, as Tom does shows, he'll be selling them at the shows.
Right.
And hopefully Apex Comics will just continue to grow through the use of the crowdfunding to the point where it's also publishing on its own and distributing through Diamond. But we'll have to wait to see when that happens.
But you're doing it smart, because you're not dependent upon a distributor or distributors in this case. And you guys...
at this point, that is true.
Yeah. Now, you guys have been working together for
way too long.
I don't want to say more than 30 years, but it's true.
Way too long.
Yes. Yeah.
What was the first time you guys worked together? It was not on Thor, was it?
No.
It was
No,
on...
we did a run on Spider-Man for a couple of years.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
but okay.
Well, we actually worked together. He hired me. He was the editor of the
Right.
Spider-Man titles, and he hired me as the penciler on Marvel Team Up. So that was the first time we actually worked together as editor and penciler.
And we don't have to get into the whole thing, but you guys had an amazing run on Amazing Spider-Man that was sadly cut short.
Yes.
We don't have to get into the drama around that, unless
Thank
you want
you.
to.
No.
But Tom, you went on to be the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics.
Yes, I did.
And that was an amazing
Solely
run
a
as
sweet
well.
revenge, just a sweet revenge for what happened on Spider-Man.
Exactly. And now you're that guy's boss. Oh, that guy is killing me. So, Tom, during that period, you saw the company go into like huge growth and expansion, and there were some really good things that came out. What were you most proud of at that time?
The Marvel Masterworks.
Yeah.
That was something that was a desperation attempt to prevent the company from going into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
We had to come up with $200,000 before the end of the year. I think I was editor-in-chief for 2 weeks when the
Surprise.
when the president came in and said, we've got to figure out a way to make, I forget how much money or we're done. And I thought, why did I take this job?
But you spearheaded something that's still happening today.
I love the Marvel Masterworks.
Could you imagine that the almost entire original Spider-Man run has been masterworked at this point?
And the next one that comes out is going to have
It's going to have
Oh,
our
that's
run.
right.
going to have our run in it.
Our editor, Danny Fingeroth, is working on the forward as we speak.
Excellent. Could you ever imagine that the entire Dazzler run would be masterworked?
Not at all. There were certain things I couldn't have imagined would be in the Masterworks.
You guys had the really enviable task of following Walt Simonson on Thor.
Yes, we did.
I also followed Walt on Star Wars.
That's true.
And we followed Roger Stern and John Romita Jr. on Spider-Man.
So you guys weren't phased.
And I followed Walt on Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
It just had to be done,
Well,
right?
it's one of those things. You just can do the best you can do and try to do what you do best. I mean, we could have tried to do Walt on Thor, but we would have failed because we're not Walt.
Right.
We don't have the same relationship with the original myths that he does, and so we went our own direction with it. And that's the only way to do your best work is to do what you do best.
That's a great lesson for anyone, really. Thank you guys so much. I don't want to take any more of your time, but this was great to meet you and to talk to you and everybody. The Right Project, Indiegogo. Let's all point at the URL once again. See it floating there.
Okay.
And make sure you go check it out.
And check out Sick Comics Binge Books.
Yes.
The
those
Blue
as well.
Baron, Heroes Union, Startup, Blue Diamond. You
And,
can find them.
I will have little floaty covers right around your head as you say
Oh
that.
my goodness, that sounds so cool.
Yes. All right. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, they finished their runs on Spider-Girl, in the late 90s. I think Spider-Girl was just getting started around 1996, which was 25 years ago. It's a 25-year-old.
Wow, that was wonderful.
Slick and smooth. Hey, this
That worked
week
out.
on the 25-year rule, we are looking at the Marvel Holiday Special 1996. This was another of the annual holiday specials that Marvel was publishing in the 90s. This, in fact, was the fifth and final Marvel Holiday Special, Teardrop. This one features a Silver Surfer story scripted by none other than Stan Lee. It was plotted by George Perez, so it wasn't Stan's idea, but Stan added his dialogue and his Stan sparkle to it. There is also an X-Men tale written by the guy we just talked to, Tom DeFalco, which is focusing on Wolverine being a bah humbug around the holiday season.
Mhm.
And this holiday special even has a Rawhide Kid story.
Wow.
Yee-haw!
There's something for everybody.
I know, all wrapped up in a beautiful Mike Waringo cover. This is not a tough book at all. If you want it, there's a newsstand version, there's a direct version. You can get it for 99 cents on eBay. I think the most expensive one I saw was $2.95. So if you really want a Marvel Holiday Special 1996, you want some good reading, just hop on eBay and grab one for $1. And these holiday specials, Richard, Marvel did them, DC did them. No big first appearances in these things. These things tend to clog up the dollar bins too.
And I think that maybe, the lack of real interest may have been its downfall.
Yeah.
We don't see them anymore.
Or they're just a bunch of Scrooges that are only concerned about money. Money, 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 money. Speaking of money, it's time for our underrated books of the week. Richard, what is your pick? Spider-Verse, Spider-Verse, Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I was really psyched by the Spider-Verse reveal this week. It's interesting, I'm a big Miles fan, and the comic books.
What?
The comic books really resonate with me, but the movie, the character in the movie is it just takes it to a whole nother level. It's just amazing. So when that came out, and we're seeing some spikes in Miles' keys. So I'm picking one that I've picked in the past, which is Spider-Gwen #0. This is a from 2016. It's a reprint of Edge of Spider-Verse 2, which is Spider-Gwen's first appearance. It's still really affordable. You can pick up one of these for anywhere from $30 to $40 as a near mint on eBay. You can get some that are not as near mint for a little less. It's a great way of reading an Edge of Spider-Verse #2, because very few people are actually going to buy an Edge of Spider-Verse and then crack it and read it. So this is a great opportunity to do that. And like I said, it's really affordable. It had a 30,000 print run, so it's not huge, but it's a reasonable.
That seems low.
Yeah. Well, there's a second print. You can differentiate them. The second print has an all blue cover instead of the black cover. There are only 4,800 of that book printed, so it's a pretty rare book. Second print is low count. Look for that blue cover. If you come across it, definitely pick it up, because when you look at the GPA, the 9.8 for the first print, it's $100. But for the second print, it's $700. So definitely is more expensive. Then the census numbers show it too. There are 71 9.8s of the first print out of 133 on the census. Second print, there's 27 9.8s out of 37. So it's a much smaller pool to choose from. So I've got a couple of the second prints, and I have been hoarding them, thinking about sending them to CGC. I think I'm finally going to pull the trigger and send them in.
Isn't it weird? We grew up in a time, kids, when second prints were like so frowned upon, so looked down upon. They weren't worth anything. They were quarter box fodder. And now we're in a day where the second print of this book is 700% more expensive than the first print.
I think people are looking at that, when we have Comicron. I'll look these numbers up in Comicron, so we know what the print runs for these books are. When you know that it is a much more rare book than the first print, that second print automatically inherits an extra value.
Well, that is an excellent segue to my underrated book of the week, which is a reprint that was always a dog, always a quarter box book. No one wanted it. That is the reprint edition, the Whitman, if you prefer, of Star Wars #1. Now, you guys, we were there. Richard and I were there. These Whitman reprints were bow, wow. Nobody wanted them. Dog. They came in a 3-pack, with issue 1, 2, and 3. They say reprint right along the side there. I mean, it's right there. And it was like, ugh, you just looked at that and you kind of put it away. And
it'd be right there next to the Uncle Scrooge 3-pack,
Exactly. Hey, there's an Uncle Scrooge 3-pack that has issue 179 that was only in a 3-pack that is thousands of dollars.
Right.
I would kill for that. But here's the deal with this. First prints of Star Wars #1 are becoming increasingly out of reach. It's how much is it now, Richard? It's like what?
It's $5,000 for
$5,000.
9.8, yeah.
So there's an opportunity here for these reprints. Now there are a few variants. There's a 35-cent reprint that says reprint on there and has a blank UPC. There's a 30-cent reprint that doesn't say reprint. There's all sorts of different reprints of Star Wars #1. A Whitman 35-cent variant, which is this one. This is the 35-cent variant. It says reprint, sold in a 9.6 for $598 in 2018.
2018. That's incredible.
All right.
That is incredible.
A 9.8 reprint is now selling for $1,000. There was a $1,000 sale in April of this year. So I'm also going to throw this in there. I would dare to say that the reprints are probably tougher in grade than the first prints because no one wanted these reprints. They were like herpes. If they touched your books, they were going to disease the rest of your collection.
Well, you can pretend it's a 35%, first original one.
Well, that's what happens with eBay now. For you guys that are, just getting into this and you're learning, and don't be fooled by people who say this is the Star Wars 35-cent variant because it's got a 35-cent cover price. It is not. This is the reprint. The true 35-cent variant has a UPC. It does not have a diamond here in the price. And it is much, much more scarce than these.
Right.
But I'm kind of going to talk out of both sides of my neck here because I do that sometimes because I want to get all the angles for you guys. You can still find 3-packs, sealed 3-packs of these weapons out there. Now, you may have to pay for them, but no one was slabbing these things. No, so I think they're pretty tough and great.
Yeah, they are tough. And that black cover doesn't help at all. So if you do come across a high grade one of these Whitman reprints, buy it and get it slabbed and let us know. Give us a heads up.
I picked this one up at an LCS for $10 the other day, and I thought to myself, if I was looking at 10-year-old Johnny in 1978, I would say, why are you buying that reprint? Don't let it touch your books.
I picked up some really nice ones, number 2, number 3, number 4, for $2 a piece because, they were in the dollar bin, really. That's still the place that these books hang. But yeah, if you come across a high grade though, I think John really stumbled on, I wasn't aware that it was this pricey. So this is a sweet deal.
And it's been 40 years plus since these books were reprinted. So all the scabies are dead by this point. So your collection will be safe if these are bagged and boarded next to them. All right, Richard, that is going to wrap it up for this week. Again, short and sweet. We're keeping it peppy. We're keeping it quick. Remind people where they can find us, please.
You can find us at Bronze and Modern Gods on Facebook and Instagram, or bronzeandmoderngods.com, the website.
And we will see you guys later this week for a bonus episode. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you. Everybody stay safe.